When people prepare before job interviews, they mainly consider the answers they want to express, but they sometimes overlook physical behaviours and actions that are important as well. Admittedly, they don't overlook all physical behaviours and actions. Most people will shower before an interview and might even wear some clothes. But they seldom think about their walking speed, their posture, or even their elbows. Yet all these behaviours can affect the impressions they create. So I'll now list a series of findings that can help you prepare for job interviews. First, trim your eyebrows. As research shows, if your eyebrows are bushy, you're more likely to be perceived as too aggressive. Now, arguably, bushy eyebrows tend to coincide with high levels of testosterone, and high levels of testosterone often provoke aggressive behaviour. Second, if granted a choice, organise the interviews to be convened earlier in the morning or an hour or so after lunch. If possible, avoid interviews immediately before lunch or immediately before dinner. The reason is that during these times, while people are hungry, they cannot sustain effort as well, so they can't adopt your perspective effectively. They might dismiss you without reflecting enough. Yet, if possible, avoid interviews immediately after lunch because people often experience a dip in energy around this time too. Third, ensure your handshake is relatively, but not unreasonably, firm, vigorous and protracted. Also, direct your gaze to the eyes of the person whose hand you're shaking. If your handshake is moderately firm, vigorous and protracted, and you direct your gaze to the eyes of the person whose hand you're shaking, you're more likely to be perceived as trustworthy and sociable. People feel a sense of closeness with you at that moment, and that closeness instills a feeling of trust. Fourth, when you walk, try to maintain a moderate pace that is neither too slow or too fast. People don't feel a sense of attachment to anyone who walks too slow or too fast. This individual doesn't feel almost human on some level. Fifth, perhaps speak slightly, but not excessively, louder than usual. A strong voice can increase your confidence. Sixth, to feel proud and important, sit straight in your chair and raise the seat if possible, and sit in a dominant position with your elbows away from your chest rather than covering your chest. This posture tends to instill a feeling of power and diminishes unnecessary worries. Seventh, learn to smile gradually. That is, to seem friendly, candidates often smile during job interviews, but an immediate smile, a smile that appears instantly in response to a comment, actually doesn't appear as genuine. So a gradual smile, a smile that progresses over a second or so, appears more genuine. Of course, during the interview, you don't want to be distracted with concerns about your handshake, your gait, your posture and your smiles, for example. Instead, these behaviours need to be natural and entrenched. So to achieve this goal, consider two approaches. First, practice these behaviours, such as a gradual smile, in more familiar settings, more familiar circumstances first. And hopefully these behaviours will become automatic. Second, apply a technique called implementation intentions. To illustrate this technique, you should first imagine the precise situation in which you want to initiate one of these actions. So for example, you might want to speak louder whenever you feel nervous in a job interview. Then, several times, repeat to yourself something like, whenever I feel nervous during a job interview, I'll speak slightly louder. Whenever I feel nervous during a job interview, I'll speak slightly louder. And this technique might seem uninteresting, but actually these implementation intentions, when you translate or connect an intention to the particular condition in which you want to initiate that intention, are very effective. When the circumstances arise, such as when you feel nervous during a job interview, you immediately remember to speak louder. You don't have to maintain this intention in your head. This intention is prompted automatically whenever the right circumstances arise.